Hello everyone, welcome to another video on VerifyWise. Today I'm going to walk you through the LLM Evals module, showing you everything from initial setup all the way to generating a full compliance report. So let's get right into it. In order to access the LLM Evals page, what we'll do is from the dashboard, go to the sidebar here and click this flask icon. This will take us to the LLM Evals page. The first step here is to create a project, and for this demo I'll be doing a chatbot project, and so I can name this chatbot demo and hit create. So now we're inside of the project. Of course, the first step to evaluate your model is to add your model. So we'll head over to the settings page here and add the API key. You can select your provider, and if it's a custom model, you can select custom and add your API key there. For my demo, I'll be using OpenAI, so I'll just add my API key here and save it. This API key will be saved on the organization level, so anyone within it can use this API key for any project, and it's all encrypted and very safe. So the second step after we've added the API key will be to add your dataset on which to do the evaluation. So there are different options here. You can either upload or add your own dataset, or you can choose from the 15 templates we have, and you can inspect these templates to see if they meet your use case. And if they don't, you can of course head over to my datasets and add your own dataset. I already have a dataset prepared, so I'll just upload that. And for your own dataset, make sure that it meets the format we give here for any use case or any conversation type. We show you the exact format, so you can just mimic that in your own one. And I'll just add my own JSON here. And you can see just as simple as that, we've added the dataset and it's saved to the system to be used. So now we have the model and we have the dataset. We can just go right over to the experiment and run our evaluation. So in the experiment menu, we'll select the model, which for me is from OpenAI, and you can see the API key is configured, so it doesn't ask me it. And I'll just select my model, which we can use O-Mini for this experiment. And then I'll select the dataset I just uploaded. And now we select the judge that will be used to do the evaluation. What this basically means is that the LLM is evaluating the responses that our model gives and assigning them scores for each metric. This is how the evaluation is done. And for this, we can either use the standard judge that VerifyWise provides. For this option, we just need to give them a model to use. Or we can create our own judge, which is called a scorer, and use that. For this experiment, I'll use the standard judge, and as the model, I'll give it 4.1, since it's a smarter model, and in the evaluation, we prefer to use a judge that is considered pretty smart, so from one of the main providers, preferably. So I hit next, and now for our use case that we entered, VerifyWise gives us the list of metrics that we can use for this use case. These seem good, but if you want, you can deselect any of these and run the experiment with however you like, but this seems good for me, so I'll just run it with these metrics. So I just started. Now for a dataset of this size, it'll take probably about 5 minutes. So while it is running, I'll go over the rest of the evals page. So the scorers, as I kind of explained there, it is just a way for you to customize the judge that's being used. So for the experiment, we just used GPT 4.1 as the judge, and it's been saved here. But let's say, and with the normal prompts, but let's say you wanted to customize it for your own use case, and you feel that our own judge is not enough, you can just go here and create a scorer. So what you do here is you select whichever model you want to be the judge. I'll go with maybe 4.1 here, and then you just get to change the instruction that is given to this judge. So it's doing the testing and you just change the instructions. So my demo was a AI safety evaluation. So I can say you are an AI safety evaluator. So you shouldn't evaluate just based on accuracy and relevance, but you should also care about maybe harmfulness. So now within its reasoning, it's taking this into account. So I can name this the safety scorer. And then the only additional thing you have to do is select like the choice scores, which is the sort of score ranges it should be giving for each sample. So we can say, let's have a good one, an acceptable one, maybe, and then a bad one. For the acceptable, we can say above 0.6. And then we just save this custom score. Now in the future, for another experiment, we can just use this scorer instead of the judge to do the evaluation. Then we have the models section, which is just a place where the models you're using is being added. So each model you use would be added here. You don't really need to worry about this section, since you can just add your model in experiments. You don't need to come here and add a new model each time, but it still exists just in case you want to check which models you've been using in this project. And then we also have the bias audit section. Here you can do a full bias audit by selecting like whichever framework you care about, and then selecting the full system and adding the demographic data, and then you can add everything and run it to have a full bias audit, which can be viewed here. Then we have two more sections like the playground and arena. You can play around with these yourself. The playground is just a place for you to actually talk to a model, sort of like a chat interface. And the arena is a way for you to compare various models on the same data set. So we've structured this in a way by calling them battles, as you know, these exist across other sites, but we can say battle one, name a battle, and then you can select which criteria you care about, because you're basically comparing the models to see which one works better for whatever use case you care about. So let's say I care about safety, for my demo. I would select safety here, and then I would select the dataset that I care about, which is the AI safety one. And then I add a bunch of models here, and then I run a battle to see how they compare against each other. You can use this to select, if you're wondering which model performs better for a certain project you want to work on. And then we have the more important section, which is the reports. This is basically where, after the experiment is run, you can generate full reports from the experiment results. Speaking of which, let's check back in with the experiment. Okay, it has stopped running. So we got a full result, and you can see it's being tracked here in this graph by the performance tracking. You can see the full metric breakdown, and then for each experiment they would be added here across time, and you can see how the results change or degrade to see if there's any drift in the model or anything like that. And then we can click on the actual experiment to see the result breakdown for each sample. We can see that there's some hallucination here. The bias and toxicity are actually fine. This is an inverse metric, so you can consider these to be 0. And then we have some issues with correctness and instruction following. Okay. And for each of these metrics you can check out the samples to see how the results were. And since the results are quite long, you can actually look at the model's reasoning to see exactly what went wrong. So for hallucination, it says, for some areas it was just not correct in what it said for the result, and then you can take those as the issues in your model, and then work on them. And now that we have the experiment, we can either download the raw sort of result JSON here or copy it, or as I said, we can go to the reports page and generate a report. So here we select the experiment from which to generate the report, and then we can give it a better name. So it was a AI safety experiment, so I can call it AI safety report, and then you can select which sections you want, but you can just leave it as a default and click generate, and we get this full PDF which has the full results breakdown, which can be used in any document to show how the AI evaluation went. And so that's it. That's the full LLM Evals module in VerifyWise. We've gone from adding API keys to a full report, and hopefully this has been useful for you when you try to use this module for yourself. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.